Cleveland Browns official minicamp started today. One player, however, was noticeably absent, Amari Cooper. There's a lot of reasoning behind it. We'll talk about it. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd keeps going up and up. I appreciate you all. Don't anybody miss out. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel to make sure you are up with everything current and fresh. Show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Browns minicamp has begun today, Tuesday, in Berea. Amari Cooper noticeably absent. And I think a lot of people, because you have guys like Nick Chubb, you have guys like Amari Cooper that are such good soldiers, if you would, good citizens, obviously great teammates, great employees of the organization. And, you forget that, there is a business side to the NFL. There's no question about it. And just like anything else. First off, even if Amari Cooper was not on the final year of his current contract, he would be a fool to not try to renegotiate for more. Wide receivers are getting paid through the roof. Coop's time for big time money, who knows how long that guaranteed money could be. So try to get it now. Wide receiver, the market has gone extremely high. Amari Cooper, obviously two great seasons here with the Cleveland Browns, has shown the ability to play with whatever quarterback the Browns have on the field. 11 games with Jacoby Brissett, 6 games with Deshaun Watson. Certainly in 2023, Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson Robinson, Deshaun Watson, DTR, of course, Joey Flacco, and of course, PJ Walker, that fantastic, ridiculous catch against the San Francisco 49ers. So if the market for wide receivers is hot, you'd be a fool not to try to get yourself some more. But if you do want to see an even clearer picture of just why Amari Cooper is trying to get out of this, he's basically in this lame duck portion of his contract. He has no money coming after this season. Well, look, the gentleman I just mentioned earlier, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was in the same similar situation last year, did everything correctly for the Cleveland Browns, and we all know what happened, unfortunately, for week 2. It created for a weird scenario this offseason, where Nick is, when we don't know the complete particulars of Nick's deal, but a lot of it is incentive-laden, which technically is a slap in the face to a guy like Nick Chubb. But coming off of a serious injury, it's really hard to commit a large amount of guaranteed money. So Amari Cooper would be in the same boat if, God forbid, something, were to happen, of course, and nobody wants to see that. So you're trying to get, that guaranteed money, that, extra money, that future money now, and it's not like Amari is alienating himself from the organization. He certainly was a part of David Njoku's softball game. But this is kind of how you get your message across. You don't come to something that you can be fined for. The Browns are not going to fine Amari Cooper. And, everything and everyone I've spoken to and have, spoken with about Amari Cooper, nobody believes there is really any ill will on either side. Amari Cooper wants more money. The Cleveland Browns are absolutely more than content to give Amari Cooper some more money. Of course, it's a negotiation, and you find that common ground where both parties are satisfied with, said monies. The Browns, this is one of the better moves this regime has made since they've been here. They took a shot gave up a 5th-round pick to the Dallas Cowboys, brought in a wide receiver that was vastly different from, of course, the Odell Beckham Jr.'s and the Jarvis Landrys. And, it wasn't so much, on-field ability that was different. It was, personality different. And for Amari Cooper, was a good soldier in his days with the Raiders, was a good soldier in his days with the Cowboys. He has been a great, great person, teammate, player, member of the organization, citizen. And it's time, Amari, wants more. And for the Browns, why would you? You give a 5th-round pick. You have not had a wide receiver go for 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. You now have accomplished that. There's a really good chance Amari Cooper goes for 3,000 yards, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You would love to have Amari Cooper for not only this year, but possibly the year after. I think part of this whole Jerry Jeudy movement was, to bring Jerry Jeudy in and to have, 2 great guys at the top. And you have 2 guys underneath there that the Browns still have a lot of high hopes for. We're going to get to those 2 guys a little bit later on in this episode. But it's all about player worth. And, for Amari Cooper, it's the time is right. The time is right that it is the last year of his deal. The time is right that wide receivers are getting paid boatloads of money. So his deal for 2023, he's probably worth more than that. He'll play off of that. And the Browns will obviously, 2024, he'll play that deal. Browns will find a way to add to it, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or maybe 1 year with a lot of guaranteed money. Second year, maybe offset language, not so much guaranteed money, which would be, 25 and 26. Amari is 30 years old. It's been one of the best acquisitions that this front office has made in their tenure since being here with the Cleveland Browns. They have zero reason that they would not want to continue this relationship. Amari is happy here. He has a good relationship with Deshaun Watson, friendly with each other off the field. Certainly have had their success on the field as well. But, it's just a time. And it probably pains a guy like Amari Cooper to not be there. Just not the guy he is. But, you have to kind of, this is the way that, the dance is danced, essentially. And, that's, it's a quiet statement by not showing up, but, it does kind of have Amari Cooper's people tell the Browns people that, we'd like to get this resolved and get this resolved rather quickly. Does it really matter for minicamp? Not so much. Would it matter if Amari was not showing up in July? Yeah, I'd be aggravated. I would understand, but I'd still be aggravated. If this team is going to have these legit aspirations to get where they want to go in 2024 and win an AFC North title. And if you guys notice, I've been saying that a lot lately. I'm going to continue to say Browns winning the AFC North title in 2024. Amari Cooper deserves his money. He has certainly earned it throughout his entire NFL career. He certainly earned it through his first 2 seasons here with the Cleveland Browns. They'll be common ground. They'll figure it out. Amari Cooper will sign an extension. The Browns will have a wide receiver room that they are infatuated with and should lead to big, big things in 2024. We're going to continue on here. Your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Summertime means baseball, unless you're a Mets fan, the NBA Finals and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Jeff Lloyd, your host, your latest Locked On Browns continues. Of course, I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. If you're not part of the everyday crowd by now, make a new plan, subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, what we saw some of today from minicamp, and this is where, some of you that were trying to stir things up through OTAs, Deshaun Watson is now progressing in his rehab, throwing in 7-on-7s. If anybody noticed, he was taking the reps in 11-on-11, but not really involved, more just taking it, seeing it, not throwing. If anybody wonders why he's not throwing in 11-on-11s, well, why are you going to take the risk of him possibly putting his hand on a helmet, hitting, getting slightly touched? It's part of what is a rehab progress. You're noticing the ball is going further down the field. You are noticing that there's plenty of zip on the balls from Deshaun Watson. And honestly, the zip is on the ball from everybody. DTR looks pretty good. Jameis Winston has a big arm. Always has. They walked on the field at Florida State. He had a big arm, but you're really starting to see, you really start to see it when you get to see a player every single day. But for Deshaun, this was the plan. And, you didn't want, you start to amp it up a little bit. And he'll go through these mini camps, practices, and then, we're hoping that it is all full go once his team starts loading the buses and the heads on down to West Virginia. All calculated, planned, whole bunch of big-brained people who couldn't tell you the difference between, a button hook, a smoke route or a 9 route, but have absolutely every plan in place, how to rehab from the injury, certainly that Deshaun suffered in Baltimore that ended his 2023 season. Certainly raised more of the doubt that the doubters will have about Deshaun Watson. You ain't going to find that here. You ain't going to hear that here. It's just not the way it is. I thought Deshaun was playing really pretty well. The team was winning, and there was really, in my opinion, no thought of Deshaun to go anywhere but up if he had continued on the field in 2023. Let the naysayers nay. It's what they do. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about what I see and be fair and be objective. And so far, I think with Deshaun Watson, we're seeing everything we want to see. We're seeing the progression we want to see. You're starting to see the balls go a little further down the field. We're starting to see him throw more often, less days off, all things that you would see in a rehab progress. You're seeing the excitement. Deshaun is excited. You saw him talk today about Amari Cooper and absolutely understanding what Amari is going through and appreciating him and showing the respect for his brother, for his teammate, for his friend. When you're a guy who's making $230 million guaranteed, hell yeah, you want all your boys to get taken care of. There's no question about it. Well, maybe you have to stop picking up every check. But it is the teammate respect. Deshaun Watson knows exactly what Amari Cooper has done for him. And Deshaun Watson has sat there and watched firsthand, whether it was Jacoby Brissett, whether it was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, whether it was PJ Walker, whether it was Joe Flacco. Amari Cooper is just, an impressive player. And to see Deshaun Watson stick up for his teammate, that's what you expect your quarterback to do. Throw out the respect, love, as, certainly we're looking for this. And this is what you certainly want to see. It's an odd situation for Deshaun, and it's always going to be. And again, I don't fault you if you can't get over that. I get it, but for me, that has nothing to do with anything that goes on within the white lines. So it's not going to skew how I cover Deshaun Watson. It's not going to skew how I discuss Deshaun Watson, the player. And, a lot of people with they're catering the offense, more to Deshaun. See, they know it's a failure. You think there's a team in the NFL that doesn't cater their offense to their quarterback? Why do you think the Buffalo Bills just made a huge investment in bigger wide receivers, made a move to let Stephon Diggs go? Because they probably did a lot of work and realized that when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, maybe having bigger wide receivers might be even more advantageous to a player like Josh Allen. Teams are always catering to their quarterbacks. You'd be foolish and in most cases fired if you were not catering your offense to your quarterback's strengths. Talk like that is just it's so mundane, and it obviously just comes from a point of hatred because it doesn't even have any thought into it, no intellect into it. Oh, they're trying to make it an offense that Deshaun is more comfortable with. No, is what I have to say to that. But for Deshaun, everything seems to be going on the pace, and even still, they were, when they were talking a month, 6 weeks ago, they basically told us we weren't ready or going to know exactly what they expected or what we were going to see from Deshaun Watson. But I will tell you what, we've seen really, really good things, and the accuracy's there, the zip is there, like I mentioned, finding a way to get everybody involved on a day like today. Jerry Jeudy did not participate. He was inside. They said some sort of small injury. I don't know what that is. I know Jerry Jeudy's been going really, really hard at OTAs. David Njoku was out there. Jerome Ford making a bunch of plays. The young kids, like I talked about, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, certainly making their share of plays with the Cleveland Browns. And again, we're going to continue some of the younger players as we get a little further down the road here in this episode. But it all seems to be like it's going really, in the path we need. The biggest question I think for the Browns offense, and this is something we're not going to know certainly till the summer, is the state of the offensive line? Is everybody back to optimum health? Is, everybody back to the player they were before the injuries? Is Joel Bitonio going to go be back to the level of Joel Bitonio? Can Wyatt Teller, it seems Wyatt Teller has that great year, then he's a little down because he's banged up, then comes back with another great year and shows, when he is healthy, just how awesome and great he is at the right guard position. Jack Conklin, certainly, a mystery wrapped within a box. DeJuan Jones, what we've seen little wise of him looks pretty damn good. Jed, it is what it is. It's an odd situation certainly for them because, this is a guy that's certainly in his last year here, most likely with the Cleveland Browns, unless something miraculous happens and all of a sudden he has to, the Browns have to break the bank on him. But it starts at the top. It stops with the quarterback. And, you're liking what you're seeing. And certainly you like what you see with DTR. And I think Jameis has kind of really just been a really, really breath of fresh air with this quarterback room. You kind of see the humility of Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston has no issues being the butt of the joke, likes to often make himself the butt of the joke, likes to be a little bit goofy, likes to keep everybody a little bit loose. And he was like that as a redshirt freshman leading the Florida State Seminoles to a national championship in Tallahassee. It's just the type of personality he has. DTR, it's getting back to full health. And hopefully, the playing time he saw as a rookie can kind of translate and, in a grand scheme of things, there's no way you see DTR in the field for the Cleveland Browns in 2024. Not a knock on DTR, but, if this team has true aspirations and truly believes, and many like I do truly think they will win the AFC North Title 2024, it's, going to come down to number 4. And if not, it's at any time, it's certainly going to be Jameis Winston. It's not going to be DTR. Tough spot for the kid where they really, really thought there was a bright future, when the way 23 went, it was certainly kind of wonky and certainly didn't help that DTR got hurt because it actually did get to the point where DTR had passed over PJ Walker, for the job to be his. And, you hate to see it for a young guy, but you just go out there and keep battling. One thing in the NFL as far as the quarterback position is your story is most likely never over. Your tenure and run in the NFL can go for a very, very long time. And just because, in one city, in one locker room, you might not be in the top 3, it does not mean that somewhere else you could be viewed in the top 2. And within a snap of the fingers, all of a sudden you're the guy. So DTR just got to keep plugging along. But I think the most important thing, you see is you're starting to see a, rehabilitation progression plan that Deshaun Watson is meeting, and certainly, taking, reps in 7-7 and even being out there and, the 11-11s will certainly come in the summer, but no reason to have anything fluke-ish happen right now and kind of set Deshaun back. But, for Deshaun Watson, it's going as planned, and that is big step for hopefully the Browns can finally have one signal caller for the entire season in 2024. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. Segment 3, your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. Join the everyday crowd. They are the best. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Become an everydayer. Of course, the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, I've mentioned here, obviously, a couple times. We know Amari Cooper was not in Berea today working out with the guys. Jerry Jeudy never made it outside today. All we're getting is, did participate some inside, but not, something holding him back from. And look, we see Jerry Jeudy's been going hard. He really, really has. And, you all know how excited I am about the acquisition of Jerry Jeudy. Just getting another bloodline guy in here. November, another high draft choice who it just wasn't working out for, in the location he was at and just kind of needed, find greener pastures. But that does not mean in any means whatsoever that you're going to sleep on Elijah Moore, who's getting open all day long. And that is the thing with Elijah is he is much different than these guys. He is the smaller, shiftier, maybe even quicker guy than Amari Cooper, certainly than Jerry Jeudy, and most certainly a little bit different than Cedric Tillman. Elijah, and I think the thing is if Elijah Moore is not considered a 2 and maybe a 3, I think the opportunity for Elijah Moore to really, really cook and get open with consistency is going to be there for him this season. It's going to be, this an odd situation, where teams are going to have, their third best corner covering a guy with the overall skill set of Elijah Moore. That's not a recipe that's probably good for other teams. Elijah Moore probably is going to feast on a lot of lesser corners, as he should. But it should do a lot for Elijah Moore, certainly, who is in this odd position as well, where he is playing in limbo in, basically, his final year of his rookie deal as well. Cedric Tillman, we talked about it a little bit yesterday with Pete Smith. I mean, you look at the guy and, you look at him standing with the other wide receivers, and it just looks like somebody made a tight end go down to the wide receiver, group for workouts. He does not look like he belongs. He is a big, tall, thick young man. And he certainly, did not benefit from the revolving door at the quarterback position last year, nor did anybody expect him to, nor should anybody have expected him to. Really, really difficult spot for him to be in last year. Got dinged up towards the end of the season. And there were miscommunications, and sometimes it's probably was on Cedric Tillman. Because, quarterback 1 wants you to run the route this way, quarterback 2 wants you to run the route this way, quarterback 3 wants you to run it this way, quarterback 4 wants you to run it that way, quarterback 5, that's a lot going on. It's tough enough to be a rookie in the NFL, then let alone that every time you turn around, there's a new QB1 in town. I think he handled it well. I think his time at Tennessee did not certainly help him. Certainly, Tennessee Tennessee was kind of like organized street ball. And, I don't think there was truly any, full understanding of, a wide receiver's role and how to develop yourself within that offense. A lot of it was just trying to athlete on athlete. And it kind of worked for Jalen Hyatt. I don't think it necessarily works so much for, of course, Cedric Tillman. But the growth plan is there for both of them. They're both getting very, very meaningful reps this week. And it's where, you got to take that opportunity. Like, targets could be limited for Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman. They're not a lot of plays are going to be called. Not a lot of plays are going to be written up for Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman necessarily. So these guys are what they're going to have to do now in minicamp. What they're going to have to do in training camp is just work on developing the relationship and understanding with their quarterbacks. So that way, when said quarterback is on the field and says, well, you know what? I know what he's going to do. And the way I see this coverage, it's going to be Elijah Moore most likely on his play, or it's going to be Cedric Tillman most likely on his play. And you know what? In the spring, in the summer, and now here we are in the season, these guys have been practicing the way they needed to. They did it in mini camps. They did it in training camps. They did it, obviously in preseason games. And then when your opportunity comes, you got to jump on it because, again, it's going to be limited for these guys. You got to keep in mind, you got Coop, you got Jeudy, you got David Njoku. That's probably 300 targets right there, if not more. Then you factor in the running backs and Jerome Ford making plays everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful deep route catch today. Also had a nice little red zone touchdown catch today. Nyheim Hines is certainly here to be a factor within the passing game. You didn't bring Nyheim Hines here because you were infatuated, with him as a runner of the football, the ball in his hands. Absolutely. Everybody's got eyes on that. Talented player with a ton of juice. But, the appealing aspect of Nyheim Hines was Kareem Hunt was a pretty good receiving running back. But here's a guy who's a 10-time better athlete, 10 times faster, better open field runner, and he's a guy who's going to look to make people miss, not look to jump over people or run through people like Kareem Hunt did. So that's certainly Nyheim Hines is certainly a player with a lot of flavor that I think the Browns are certainly very, very interested in. So you get to see, and we've talked today obviously about what is the president of this team, and certainly Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, what is probably the future of this team, which is probably most likely Jerry Jeudy, Amari for whatever bit comes out of said contract extension that is coming his way, and certainly Cedric Tillman. Elijah, who knows? Elijah could put together a really, really nice 2024, and there's going to be no way that the Browns would be able to talk the money that Elijah Moore could be commanding if he puts together. Elijah Moore puts together 60 receptions this year. He's going to go. He'll be gone. Somebody's going to pay him really good money. I think that the Browns are just going to be in opposition that they would love to match, but you have Thresh. Certainly David Bell is still here in addition to Tillman. So the room for Elijah Moore, the best thing is for Elijah Moore to have a really, really great year and then go cash in after the season and, go somewhere else where, he can take whatever limited amount of targets he gets this year, chance to wait a minute, put him up 25%, 50%, whatever, and get himself into a position where he's a lot higher in the pecking order in somebody's wide receiver room. Carolina Panthers, just saying. Would be a great spot, certainly for Elijah Moore. Lots going on. And, look, we're all here. Obviously, Ohio, all your kids are out of school. We're almost, in that case, here in Jersey, counting down the days, starting to enjoy the summer, mini camp. Then we take that nice little break. And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks after 4th of July, we're back in full business. We'll be here every day. We'll talk some ball. We're going to bring in some of our favorite guests, some of your favorite guests, talk about the Browns. Maybe we'll talk about some memories from the years past. I'm trying to, and I've been working on, I'm trying to pinpoint together my 10 favorite Browns moments since I've been hosting the show. We certainly won't talk 2017. We'll certainly talk 2018 and on, because there ain't nothing from 17 we want to talk about. That's for darn sure. But I appreciate you guys all for being here. I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns our first listen every single day. The everyday crowd is a bunch of filthy animals, but they're my filthy animals. So I suggest you join the filthy animals. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.